Hi everyone, it's Luke from Sphere Partners, and today I'm joined by Vera Seva, CFO at Sphere. Vera, welcome.
Hi, Luke. Pleasure to be here.
Amazing. Vera, we haven't interviewed you before, so to break the ice, why don't we start with something that not many people know about you? Just something fun.
Sure. I recently moved to Portugal. It's the fourth country where I live. So I lived in three countries outside of my home country. I'm trying to learn my third language,
Oh wow.
and yeah, with mixed success so far, but hopefully it will get better.
Wow, wow, wow. So three languages. So you got Portuguese, you've got English, and then you also speak a bit of Russian, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Polyglot. You have to have a lot of brains to do that kind of thing. So I'll give you that. Okay, Vera, why don't we tell the audience a little bit about your background? Since you're a CFO at Sphere, you can come with a lot of experience. So let's go into that, and then we can divert the conversation around technology due diligence after that.
Sure. Yeah, I've been with Sphere Partners for 7 months now. I joined in October last year, and prior to that, I worked for 5 years for a clean tech scale-up fund in London called BP Launchpad. There, I led a team that was responsible for transaction execution, both buy and sell side.
Buy and sell side both. That sounds complicated. So, uh, tell me more. Like, what kind of transactions are we talking about? What scale? Are you able to share anything?
Sure, yeah. So we invested in clean tech companies that were still early stage, so post Series A, Series B, that could help accelerate energy transition. We were a corporate fund, so our key focus was on investing in technologies and companies that can be complementary for the portfolio BP.
I see. I see. So complementary to the oil and gas business, and as they move towards the green tech, how that can help them.
Yeah.
Great. In terms of the buy side and sell side due diligence, which is relevant to why we are here, I'd love to understand a little bit more what was going on there. How are you conducting diligence? Why don't we start with the buy side and then I can talk about sell side afterwards. So take me through the process.
Sure. Well, we were very fortunate to have an in-house tech team that was involved in tech due diligence process with us. So we had quite a diverse set of skills on that team. We had AI, ML experts, cybersecurity experts, people who had extensive experience leading product and tech teams in various companies. I don't think every fund has that privilege,
Yeah.
but we were in that fortunate position to have that set up and a wide set of resources. It took us a bit of time to figure out how to do due diligence the right way, so that we can draw right conclusions and commercial insights from the process. But as we progressed with that process, and we got it right at some point, the quality of transactions increased rapidly.
Okay. But before the quality improved, were there any mistakes that the team learned from, perhaps?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as mistakes, but I think you in the beginning you try to experiment, and you for a team that primarily focuses on tech space, it is natural to focus only on tech aspects of the diligence rather than thinking of how it links to the rest of the deal process. So that was the learning curve that we had to go through. And at the end, I think we got to the right place where we could work together as a team and get all the right insights and know what we're looking for in that
I
process.
see. I see. So it was the balance between the commercial due diligence, the financial diligence, and your technology. So if you're not balanced and if you focus on one aspect too much, you might leave something that could come back and bite you as a risk in the future. So okay. So it was starting out with an unbalanced approach, and as you learn and do things better, you just balance it out fully. Um, Tell me a little bit about the sell side diligence. So as a fund, were you also focused on some of the exit? Because typically I do get involved in the sell side diligence projects from the point of view if the target company or the company I'm speaking with is expecting a sale on horizon or if they are being acquired. So that's why we help them with the sell side diligence. Tell me more. What was the process there?
Well, in case of PP Launchpad, we didn't do technical due diligence on sell sides. Now, if I think about it, could it be a good idea to do that? Probably yes. I think there is always a perception if you have a company in your portfolio for a number of years that you know it very well. But most likely, last time you looked at it really closely was at the time you were buying it.
Hmm.
So things could change, and you, as a seller, might not be aware of all the things that have changed and can come up in the due diligence process when buyers look at the company.
Got it. Yeah, there's evolution. And how long would this fund typically hold on to a company for? What was the life cycle?
In case of Launchpad, it was 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years, and then
Yeah,
exit ultimately if things don't
yeah.
work out or absorb. Okay. Um, I'm going to ask you a curveball question here. So, I'm trying to understand. During the, buy side diligence process, you said there is an internal team that's helping. So, when they're not doing these diligences or assessment exercises on the targets, what are they doing? Are they building something as well, or are they just sitting and waiting for these transactions?
The setup we had was quite unique. So our tech team was very heavily involved in growth of our company. So they worked very closely with portfolio companies. And I think it's quite unusual setup to have that team in-house. Typically, you would have someone with tech background who would be involved in tech due diligence, but you wouldn't have a luxury of having diverse team that can really look under the hood and check what's happening with the company on various levels.
Yeah, I mean, it's you have one set of skills and you're investing in a multiple number of companies that I would say inherit, or come from a different technology background. So the tech stack could be different. How is that being managed? Because you cannot literally have every single programming language knowledge in-house, or the technologies, cloud technologies, DevOps infrastructure. So there are many tools and different flavors, different combinations are being used by startups, scale-ups, enterprises. How how are these folks managing? Were they very high level or were they deep and forensic in their assessment? I'd love to know because we sometimes, we are a company of 400 plus people, and in a due diligence exercise that we do, which we do many a month, a year. Now, there are times when we come across a very odd piece of technology for which we have to then rely on the outside, the pool that we have built of 10,000 plus engineers. So if there's Drupal, some kind of very old technology, a version of PHP being used, I would go to the market and source that architect or developer who could go as deep as we need to be to de-risk a transaction. So having an in-house team, how are you managing that process? Maybe you don't have insights. I wouldn't, I wouldn't question this too much, but maybe you know
Yeah.
something.
Well, yeah, I think it's difficult to match a team of 400 people with any in-house team funds can afford to have, right? So I think our team was diverse enough to cover majority of technologies that we were interested in. But for example, we didn't have expertise in ERPs.
Hmm.
So everything that was more operational, we didn't have full insights on what it could take to, for example, merge two companies or take company to the next level when they have to grow. What do they have to invest in? So there were always, even in that setup, there were always some blind zones.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is where we come into our own, as a company, as a tech due diligence partner for PE VCs. I find this a lot that we get contacted even by companies that have in-house teams that, hey guys, we know we can scratch the surface, but we can't go deep enough to understand and evaluate the technology, the infrastructure, and some risks that revolve around scalability and the database engineering, etc., because they might lack that kind of deep knowledge in certain technology. So we partner with a lot of companies, PE, VCs, investment houses in that regard. Great, Vera. Thank you for sharing this. I want to come to an interesting question now. So maybe, this is not like three steps to achieving success, but I'm sure there are some key insights uh, that as a CFO, you look for whenever there's a target to be acquired or an investment to be made. So I'd love to know from your point of view, what are these key insights that you look for from the financial or the CFO's point of view in I would say a tech assessment, right? Because that's what the topic is. Sometimes we don't really see how the tech relates to the business part, but I think it's all and more important nowadays. You can have a very good piece of tech solution built. How does that translate into business goals? I think is a different animal altogether. So I'd love to know from your point of view, what do you look for? And then I'll ask you one more question.
Sure. Well, first of all, when attempting to acquire another company, you always think about whether that company can survive acquisition process, right? So you think about key people, whom do you need to retain? How well software architecture is documented? What if everyone leaves and you have to hire a brand new team to manage it going forward? So this is definitely one of the top concerns that has to be addressed during tech due diligence process. So understanding how well everything is documented, who are the key people, is there a concern that some of those key people have more knowledge in their heads than anyone
Yeah, yeah.
else
You know
company?
what, you know what you call them? There's a
Yeah,
term for those people. They're called purple people.
purple people. Okay. I
Yes.
didn't know
They
that.
hold all the knowledge, and
Yeah.
quite often they become very important to the organization. So I learned this a few weeks ago. Purple people.
Yeah, so assuring that risk is very important during tech due diligence process. Secondly, you want to think about growth trajectory for the business. Typically, when management's team presents their growth plan, they share a product roadmap, and you want to check how that product roadmap aligns with the staff plan that's in the growth plan. In most of the cases, you would find that staff plan is a bit light on resources to achieve what needs to be done in the next 2 years, and that's where insights are very important, and they can only be drawn from very thorough technical due diligence process. And finally, it's the risks that's from commercial perspective. You want to cover. So first of all, scalability risk, not only building new products, but can the tech scale with the company? What if we grow 2x, 3x in the next 2 years? Do we have to invest more money? Then we would think about other risks such as cybersecurity, which is top of the agenda for any fund and should be top of the agenda for individual companies who are attempting to do inorganic growth as well. Regulatory risks are also getting more and more stringent around the world. So assuring that piece is very important and gives you not only peace of mind that you know what you're doing straight after acquisition, where you need to focus on, but also you know how much you need to spend on fixing things.
Completely agree. So thanks for sharing those points, by the way. But what I would add to this is quite often uh, when we are doing a diligence or an assessment on a target, I think the perception could be that we are here to criticize, and pick out, any holes that there might be in the solution roadmap itself. But that's not really the case. very often what we look for when we're doing a diligence exercise is to make sure that the risks that we have identified, and we obviously do a ranking and a traffic light report to say which risks are catastrophic and which ones could be uh, mitigated a bit later in the line. So you do the ranking, etc., what needs addressing first, and then you interview the people that are building the solution, the CTO, the architects, and you understand how aware they are of these risks. I believe around 80 to 90% of the work that we do, we find that CTOs, architects, developers, lead developers, they're all aware of these risks, and they have a roadmap built out in which they have carved out time and sprints in which they would handle these. And this is a great way to understand if the company that you're investing in a target is aware of the risks, and if they are, if they have a mitigation plan, then I think your investment is fairly safe. Again, it's not all about finding out the holes in a solution or finding the weaknesses and risks, but it's also about understanding how risk is being handled and mitigated, because risk is always there. You're juggling multiple balls. How you manage the top priority while furthering the roadmap, helping the sales teams, or whatever you're trying to do with the product, while managing the product risk is what we look at. I want to also ask you something now about with in the last few years we are seeing the rise in investment, especially in the area of AI and data. How would you say the tech assessment or the diligence has shifted towards an understanding of how the company that you're investing in is looking at data, the mental side, or the not just the tangible, but also the intangible, how the CEO envisions the use of data. Are they thinking of monetizing data at some point? These are very important factors. So tell me from your experience, were you looking at it at some point, or is this a new thing? And how important is it?
Great question, Luke. Indeed, in the past few years, complexity of software architecture increased a lot with the rise of AI and ML. And it also became more and more difficult to understand what you're buying, right? Because a lot of companies will claim they have AI, ML functionality, but once you look under the hood, you might find that they are still on the path to get there. So doing forward diligence of that part of the tech is critical for the success of the acquisition. And again, yeah, I agree with you. It's not a got you exercise. It's not about finding something that will essentially disagree with what management team is saying in their presentation, but it's about reducing the unknowns and knowing what you need to work on and where you need to invest more to get to where the company needs to be.
Yeah, I think that is correct. So, um, Vera, are there any ending notes you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Yeah, what's really excited me about joining Sphere is the work that we're currently doing with PE and VC clients. So yeah, I think my final note is for companies who are attempting to do any acquisitions, mergers, to consider getting a reputable partner like Sphere Partners in that process to help you with the assessment and to work with you post-acquisition also to address some of the findings in the process.
Yeah, I would certainly say so. So there you go, everyone. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And if you want to get in touch to learn more about our tech due diligence services or speak to Vera for some reason, not for hiring her though, you can. So Vera, thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Luke.